different world with its own rules.
Cinco. We have a word here in prison. Cinco. It means fists. The fists take away the anger.
Zero tolerance.
We look for prohibited items such as drugs, knives, stabbing weapons, anything with the blade.
All this behind bars. Gangs. Violence. Drugs. Harassment. A daily survival of the fittest in the toughest prisons in the world. Ibagué, a city of 500,000 inhabitants in central Colombia. The South American country is the world's largest cocaine producer. Violence among drug gangs is high. Over 13,000 people were murdered in 2023 alone, making Colombia one of the top 15 countries with the highest murder rate. The result, Colombian jails are bursting at the seams, like Picaleña prison. It's the 5th largest in the country. Over 5,000 men and women are incarcerated here. It's a high-security bunker from which no prisoner has yet managed to escape. Strict rules, monotony, and arguments among the inmates determine life in one of Colombia's toughest prisons. It's 6 a.m. Picaleña prison is slowly coming to life. The shift begins for the guards. One of them is 27-year-old Palomino. He has been working in the prison for a year and a half. For security reasons, uniforms may not be worn outside the prison walls. Before starting their shift, the guards change in the prison dormitory. Palomino has 12 hours of duty ahead of him.
While I'm dressing, I always pray, just for myself. I pray to protect me from bad things happening, like a riot or something like that.
Palomino is in a hurry. Morning roll call is about to begin. If you're late, you'll be on duty at one of the unpopular posts that day.
Attention, gentlemen.
Everyone eagerly waits to see where they will be assigned. Every day, prison management reassigns the guards to the various posts. It's a measure designed to prevent bribery.
Fortunately, the block I'm assigned to today is rather quiet. I'm on duty there quite often. But you can never trust the peace. We always have to be alert and prepared for something to happen.
Picaleña prison consists of 2 areas. The entrance area with the administration, the dormitory for the guards, and a training area. Adjacent to it is the actual prison, surrounded by 3 6-meter-high fences. Within this area, there are 7 cell blocks. Each of the blocks is structured like a separate, smaller prison. Unit 1 is the oldest part of the prison, and also the largest block. Unit 2 has space for some 800 medium security prisoners. The isolation wing is also located here. Unit 3 is the high security area. Unit 4 is the women's wing. 450 female prisoners are serving their sentences here. Unit 5 is for prisoners serving medium sentences and remand prisoners. The so-called trusted inmates live in Unit 6. Unit 7 is the VIP block, Only former state employees and older prisoners are housed here. Anyone wishing to enter the interior of the prison must first pass the drug-sniffing dogs, including the guards.
We are searching for all kinds of narcotics. We've had visitors try to hide drugs in latex, such as condoms, or in toothpaste or coffee, and also in cleaning products. They do that to distract the scent of the drug-sniffing dogs. But that doesn't work. Our dogs always find the drugs.
Palomino and his colleagues are clean. Next comes the security check. Money, alcohol, knives, and cell phones are also strictly forbidden. Palomino is now on duty in Block 2, which is at the far end of the prison. Picaleña prison was built in 1982 and initially only consisted of Block 1. Gradually, more and more blocks were added. Block 2 is one of the most modern. Over 800 male prisoners are housed here in 5 units, known as pavilions. Inmates here are serving sentences ranging from 10 to 30 years. Together with 3 other colleagues, Palomino is now responsible for Pavilions 16 and 17.
205? No, 204.
Just 4 guards are responsible for over 400 inmates here, and they are almost exclusively murderers, drug dealers, and rapists. Palomino and his colleagues do not carry weapons. Their only means of defense is a baton.
Señores, buenos días.
The first step is the head count. The wardens also check that everyone is uninjured and in good health.
Listo, bien. Gracias. Gracias.
We counted the prisoners. No one is missing. We do that every day. In both pavilions, everything is in order.
Each pavilion consists of a large inner courtyard, around which the cells are arranged. During the day, prisoners can move around freely in the inner courtyard. Barbed wire on the roofs and several surveillance cameras ensure an escape is impossible. All the furnishings, such as tables and benches, wash basins, and toilets, are made of metal. There's no chance of destroying them and turning them into weapons. The cells are spread over 2 floors. 4 to 5 prisoners share one of the 12 square meter cells. The furnishings are Spartan. Beds and the shelves for everyone are clumped together. The wash basin and toilet are in the middle of the room. There is no shower. A narrow window offers only a depressing view of the outside fences. 28-year-old Carlos has been sentenced to 27 years for murder, drug dealing, and fraud. Worse than being in prison is the loss of his family.
In the 3 years I've been here in prison, I haven't been able to meet my daughters. We had a few video calls, so at least I could talk to them and see their faces. But that was it.
His wife is also in prison. His wife's family has broken off all contact with him. He no longer has any contact with his own family either.
To be honest, I never really talk about it. It really gets to me. It hurts a lot. In a place like this, you don't talk about such feelings. That shows weakness, and under no circumstances should you show weakness here. But it makes me very sad. Very sad. These feelings are very strong. Knowing that I'm in my hometown, that my own family lives here, and that 3 years have passed without anyone visiting me.
The only support he receives is from his wife, Lilian. She is serving time for accessory to murder just 200 meters away. The two are allowed to see each other regularly in prison and talk on the phone almost every day. His bed is full of her presence.
These are our names, Carlos and Lilian, and some encouraging words and fond memories. That's her, she said.
Married couples or even entire families in prison is nothing unusual in Colombia. Drug trafficking is often a family business. 8:30 a.m. Some of the prisoners are preparing to go to work.
Now we close all cells. This always happens after the head count.
This means everyone must leave their cells. If you don't have a place to work, you have no other choice but to hang around in the courtyard for the next few hours.
Closing the cells reduces the violence among the inmates, and it gives us a better overview of the prisoners and allows us to better control them. If they want to do something that's prohibited, they like to do it in secret in their cells. That's why we lock them.
The cells remain closed until the afternoon. A fifth of the prisoners go to work or school. Before they leave the pavilion, Palomino and his colleagues search everyone thoroughly.
We look for forbidden items such as drugs, knives, weapons, anything with a blade, anything that is prohibited.
Prisoners from different pavilions are about to come together. This creates a potentially dangerous situation. Each block has its own workshop and classrooms. This means inmates do not have to leave the block. The wood workshop is in Block 2. The work here is intended to keep the prisoners busy and show them new possibilities for their time after prison. Here too, every move is monitored. Only those who have done nothing wrong are given a job. 41-year-old Saul has been working here for 2 years. He used to be in the military and was sentenced to 18 years in prison for a so-called false positive for killing an innocent civilian.
Work is a way for me to deal with the monotony here. It's a chance to escape the boredom and forget that I'm in prison. That's the most important thing. When I'm here in the workshop and I'm working, I no longer think about the fact that I'm in prison and all that. That's what I like most about my job here.
There are no wages. Instead, the prison sells the goods prisoners produce. The inmates receive the proceeds, minus the cost of the materials. By working, they can also reduce their sentence. 3 days of work equals 1 day less spent in prison.
My work here helps my children. I have 3 children. I'm trying to put some of the money away to buy tools and start my own handicraft business later. That's my goal after prison. I definitely want to continue working as a carpenter.
He hopes to receive around $700 for his current work. He fully understands that working here is a privilege, especially since inmates in this shop handle sharp and pointed tools.
I don't see it as a weapon, I see it as a tool. It's just a working tool. Of course you can use it for fighting or something like that. I used to be a soldier. But I'm not here to cause stress, and I won't let anyone provoke me. I won't let anyone take away the opportunities I have here. I have a family. My goal is to get out of here as quickly as possible, away from this place.
However, it will be at least another 10 years before then, assuming Saul doesn't do anything wrong in the meantime. Those who do not have a job hang out in the courtyard. In Pavilion 16, Juan Jose ensures order and discipline. Each pavilion has a boss. He settles disputes, mediates as a human rights officer in the event of complaints between the prison and inmates, and organizes communal life.
Are you a cleaner?
For the backyard.
Yes, who else?
What do you want us to do?
Do me a favor. Pick up all that stuff, the towel, the shoes.
Yes, of course.
Pick it up. You know what? The gym should be well organized, please.
Juan Jose has been in prison for almost 8 years. The former businessman has gradually worked his way up to his position. One of the most important things he organizes: water distribution. All the water for the 200 inmates in the pavilion comes from these pipes, whether for drinking, showering, flushing toilets, or washing clothes.
I select people for the various tasks based on their character. They have to be responsible and reliable. It doesn't matter whether they're new or not. They don't get paid for it or anything. But they have a task, something to do, something to keep them occupied. If you want to get involved in this pavilion, we give you the opportunity to do so.
Even if, at first glance, the jobs look like menial tasks, they offer prisoners the opportunity to move up the hierarchy.
Previously, it used to be very different. Everyone just wanted to affirm their own interests, with their fists or a machete or something. That has now changed. Those who respect others are also respected. If a newcomer comes and thinks he has to destroy the peace and cause stress, whether out of boredom or because he's unhappy, then we make sure he goes somewhere else.
Constant boredom is one of the main reasons arguments erupt. If you don't have a job, you have few ways to keep yourself occupied. Games involving cigarettes are extremely popular. Carlos also tries to somehow get through the day.
Each day in prison is the same. It's a constant routine. We always get up at 6 o'clock, we are counted, we take a shower, and then we have breakfast. And so it goes on through the day. It's always the same. We try to keep occupied by playing board games and things like that.
Most of the men here used to be in a gang, Carlos included. His numerous scars and tattoos bear witness to this. He is used to solving problems through violence. This fact makes it all the more difficult for him and the others to keep a low profile here in prison.
Everything here is a challenge. The bathroom, the shower, the food, simply everything. We're always all together here. You always have to be careful and exercise restraint. If you're not in the rhythm of the prison, you're always going to be an outsider and therefore in danger. And you can't follow your impulses. Even if you pull yourself together, it still remains difficult. So many different characters come together here, and some of them are aggressive. It's a challenge every day.
In the event of a fight or attack among the prisoners, the guards have an alarm button at their station.
There is a control panel in the main station on which the alarm is displayed. Then a loud siren sounds. Everyone who's somehow available has to run to the station and help out.
Smoke gas canisters are available in every station for exceptional situations.
There is a strict protocol for this. We are only allowed to use them if the life or integrity of a prisoner is in danger. Or that of a guard, of course. And only if there is no other option. The gas helps to break up large groups and get the situation under control.
First and foremost, Palomino and his colleagues never let the prisoners out of their sight to prevent this from happening. Escaping from Picaleña prison is virtually impossible. The entire prison is surrounded by 3 fences, each 6 meters high. From its watchtowers, guards can keep an eye on every corner. Civilian police patrol the perimeter of the prison, just in case someone does manage the impossible and gets over the multiple walls of barbed wire. The individual blocks are additionally secured with 3 rows of fencing and barbed wire. Each block also has its own watchtower. Block 7 is a very special block where no ordinary prisoners are housed. The block is for older prisoners and former civil servants. Most of them are convicted of corruption. Our camera team is not allowed into this cell wing, as no one is supposed to see what it looks like inside. The only thing to see is the block's workshop. This is where prisoners sew work clothes for their fellow inmates. He used to be a prison guard himself. 54-year-old John Carlos was convicted of drug smuggling and corruption. At first, it was a shock for him to be on the other side.
I was a bit scared at first. Fear is a human emotion. I think that's quite normal. When I was on my way here, it was a very queasy feeling. Of course, you wonder what will happen. How will they treat me? How will they receive me? I knew that if I was sent to prison and they put me in a normal wing, then my life would be in danger from the very first moment. No question about it.
He worked for 30 years in an even bigger prison than Picaleña. He was even an inspector, a rank just below the warden, until the lure of money became too great.
It was a bad decision that has brought me here. I failed. I made a mistake. I didn't think about the consequences. I took it too lightly. And now I have to pay for it. I was just too ambitious. If you're too ambitious, you take risks. At some point, these risks get bigger and bigger. You no longer think rationally, and you risk more and more.
Being behind bars himself also makes him see his former job in a different light. As a guard, he would do many things differently today.
I would be much more human, reserved, much humbler. Why?
Porque cuando uno está allá,
Because when you stand on the other side of the bars, as a guard, you can hardly imagine how inmates suffer.
sufre.
A rather late realization. There is also a complete block for women in Picaleña prison. Around 450 female prisoners are serving their sentences here, most of them for murder, drug trafficking, or both. Here too, everyday life is a constant struggle. The women are not particularly squeamish. 34-year-old Erica has been here for 8 years.
Sometimes we can solve problems by talking, but most of the time that doesn't help much. There is no tolerance. What happens then? We grab each other. We grab each other by the hair. There is one word here, cinco. It means something like fist. The fists take away the anger. Of course, we also try to talk to each other. And if not, then suddenly it starts. We use our fists. We fight. Or we stab. If you can't solve a problem any other way, then you stab. You take a hairbrush or pencil and turn it into a weapon. Just take the handle and attach a pointed blade to it.
However, when it comes to disputes, there is a golden rule.
If we see the guards coming, it's over immediately. As long as no one is seriously injured, there are no problems.
Otherwise, in the end, everyone will have to pay for it. It also applies to women. If you don't have a job, you have to spend the day in the courtyard and just kill time somehow. The women's cells are also only 12 square meters in size. Up to 6 women share a cell. Some of them sleep on mattresses on the floor. The bathroom consists of just a wash basin and toilet. Those who don't want to use one of the communal showers in the courtyard can shower over the toilet bowl.
We lay towels on the floor and then sit down on the toilet. We soap up and then get up to thoroughly scrub ourselves. Then we sit down again and pour water over ourselves, and it runs down the toilet. That's how you sit there. To wash your feet, we put a foot on here and then soap it up and wash it off.
Privacy is not an option. While almost everyone in Pavilion 23 has a prison sentence of over 20 years, things are a little quieter in the second pavilion for women. Around 80% of the prisoners here are on remand. Lilian, the wife of inmate Carlos, is also sitting here. Today is a good day for her. As a reward for going to school, the judge has confirmed that she will be released from prison sooner.
This document means a lot to me. It eases my concerns, at least a little, because now I can see my family and children again sooner. They deducted 528 hours of my sentence.
That amounts to 22 days. It doesn't sound like much, but in prison every day counts. She got 13 years for being accessory to the murder committed by Carlos.
We did it together. I've never accused him of that, and I never will. I told him this many times. We're both here because we both did it. We're both guilty.
Lily and Carlos have been a couple for 9 years. Despite being in prison, he is still the man of her dreams.
It's not easy because of the distance. But after everything we've been through, we're both still alive. We'll get through this, and then we can move on with everything we had planned, with our dreams and our love. And I ask God to give us the opportunity to get out of this, to move forward, to be able to give our daughters a great future, to be able to be with them and fill them with love.
Whether she still sees it that way when she gets out remains to be seen. Carlos will still have at least another 10 years ahead of him. Natalia is the guard in charge today. She knows only too well how high the potential for aggression is among the women. This is why she and her colleagues regularly carry out unannounced searches. Searches are randomly conducted by the female guards.
They often try to hide marijuana or other drugs in their shoes, or some sharp objects they make themselves that they can then try to attack other inmates with. They most often hide things in their shoes.
The rules are strict. Lighters with spindles are prohibited. With a little skill, you can build a kind of metal saw from the coiled wire that produces sparks. The guards always stay together during the search. They know only too well that the prisoners are not to be trusted.
Hey, stop it! Get your hand out of there!
This prisoner seems to be trying to hide something. And indeed, Natalia finds a pair of scissors.
The scissors are confiscated. She could attempt to hurt another prisoner with them.
Natalia is alarmed. She now takes a much closer look at the prisoner. Is she hiding something else?
It could have contained alcohol or something else that's forbidden.
But despite a thorough search, she finds nothing except the scissors. After an hour, the search is completed. Natalia shows why she confiscated the harmless-looking craft scissors.
The women made this themselves from a pair of scissors. One prisoner used them to attack another inmate. The fight happened about a week ago, and the victim was injured in the ear. The attacker actually wanted to slash her face, but she only caught her on the ear and arm. Fortunately, we were able to separate the two quickly.
An argument between two prisoners can quickly turn into a mass brawl or even a riot. By now, it's lunchtime. Each block has its own kitchen. Three meals a day are prepared there. Meat is served at least once a day. The inmates do the cooking. One of them is 43-year-old Gustavo. He has been behind bars for 17 years.
This is one of the best jobs in this prison. Actually, in any prison in Colombia. If you work in the kitchen, you always have enough to eat. And we're busy all day. The pay here is also good. You not only get a reduction to your sentence, You also get paid money. We earn the legal minimum wage here in Colombia. That's great.
That's around $350 a month. In prison, that amounts to a small fortune. Gustavo used to be a teacher until he was sentenced to 27 years for rape. In Colombia, it's a crime that's harshly punished.
I used to make eggs for my children, and occasionally for lunch. Here's where I learned how to cook for 1,000 people, and quickly too. It wasn't easy to learn. It's a large kitchen here. I also had to learn how all the equipment worked, for example.
He is now an absolute professional and already has plans for his time after prison.
I'm thinking about opening my own small restaurant. I enjoy cooking. I know I'll never be able to go back to my job as a teacher, so I think that's a good idea for a fresh start.
In 5 to 6 years, he could be released on parole and realize his dream. Before the food is served, a civilian cook checks the taste and temperature once again. The prison management attaches great importance to quality, as the food is an important factor in the prisoner's mood. The prisoners eat in the block's huge dining hall. Leftover food in the pavilions would quickly attract pests. Here, too, every movement of the prisoners is strictly monitored. To avoid arguments, everyone gets exactly the same amount. Food is eaten from plastic containers, another safety measure. Of course, not everybody is totally happy with the food.
The food is sometimes a little cold, or not quite tender. And the portions are very small. It doesn't fill you up. We are left hungry. But we still enjoy the food.
There are no supplements. If you have a job or a family who sends money, you can buy extra food in the prison store.
Let's go! Go! Back to the pavilion! Come on!
The prisoners reluctantly return to the confines of the pavilion. In the afternoon, prisoners in Pavilion 16 head to the exercise yard. They are allowed onto the sports field once a week. The prisoners are searched beforehand. It is difficult for the guards to keep an eye on everyone on the large sports field, and Palomino actually makes a find: a drug pipe. The owner is now in a lot of trouble.
A discovery like this can lead to a change in the security level. They are then moved to a different block or even placed in solitary confinement. Or they simply lose certain privileges. That almost always happens.
The prisoners have 1 hour. Most of them use the time to let off steam. Soccer is very popular. Everything looks peaceful, but Palomino knows it can't be trusted.
We have to be very vigilant out here, because the main entrance to the block is at the back.
There is a high risk that prisoners will seize the opportunity and try to escape via the nearby main entrance. Carlos is completely in his element. He played for a soccer club as a youngster. His chances of a professional career were not bad at all, but then money and drugs became more important.
It was, of course, my dream to become a great footballer. And if I had the chance, I'd still love to become one. It's still my passion. To be honest, sometimes I still dream of being a great footballer or a great goalkeeper. Maybe I'll get another chance.
Since Carlos will be almost 50 when he is released, it is a rather unrealistic dream. But for the moment at least, soccer allows him and the others to forget everyday life in prison. The women are also granted yard time. They are allowed outside twice a week. And, as we'll see in a moment, they use this time for dating.
Inside in the courtyard, you often feel very cramped. It's confining. It's terribly loud, and there are so many people there that it's hard to think. You can't really be carefree. I feel much freer out here. I can sit down and think, talk, and even be sad sometimes. Here I don't have the pressure of constantly being watched by others. It's different here.
But for the women, the most important thing is that the courtyard is used for a kind of dating spot. From here, they have a clear view of Block 5. They use a specially developed sign language to communicate with the male inmates there. Carolina explains how the sign language works.
For example, we use letters. This is an A, this is a B, this is a C, this means D, and this is an E. This means I have a favor to ask. This is a heart, and these are many, many, many kisses.
Carolina has been in Picaleña prison for a long time. She uses every second in the yard to chat.
I'm talking to my husband Fabian right now. I said hello to him. Hello, my love. And another heart. I said, I love you. I really love you. We got together 3 years ago and got married. We got to know each other through the court chat here.
A prison love story. A lot has changed for Carolina as a result.
I'm very happy to have him. You're under constant pressure here in prison. Most everyone here is very lonely. Most have no one they can talk to. I have him. I share my worries with him. We laugh, and we also talk on the phone about everything. In 12 years, the first time I think I fell really in love with someone.
Then it's time for her to say goodbye for today.
Ladies, time's up. We're going back.
It will be another 2 days before the women will be allowed outside again. The cell closes at 4 p.m.
Ladies, head count.
Reluctantly, the women follow the instructions. Natalia and her colleagues count the prisoners one last time for the day. Then everyone goes back to their cramped cells. They won't be unlocked again until 6 o'clock the next morning. 14 long hours and 12 square meters, and without any privacy. Erica tries to stay occupied by drawing. She sends the pictures to her daughters or swaps them for other things in prison. The 34-year-old is serving time for drug dealing and murder. Her story is typical of many in here.
I come from a neighborhood where there are drugs everywhere. A lot of drugs, a lot of crime. And you see people getting killed all the time. I then became a member of a gang. I mainly did it for the money. And I liked it. I always wanted more money. I sold more, and I said to myself, come on, Erica, do that too. Kill people for money. It was only here that I understood what I was really doing. I truly wish I could turn back time and change a lot of things.
Erica has decided to change her life, primarily because of her 3 daughters.
I keep thinking about the time after prison. I know I'll never be able to go home again. I still have too many unpaid bills there. That means I'll have to go somewhere else and start all over again. I'll look for a job. I don't know, in a restaurant, in a bakery, or a supermarket. In any case, I want to be a good role model for my daughters.
With good behavior, she can be released in around 6 years. The men are now also locked up in their cells. While many of them are thinking about their time after prison, Carlos has no plans yet.
I don't really think much about the time after prison, and I've kind of forgotten about these 3 years I've been living here. I try to live every day as if it were my last. I don't count the days. I don't count how long I've been here, nor how long it will be before I get out. It doesn't make sense. My sentence is far too harsh for that.
So far, there hasn't been much in the way of discernment or the willingness to change.
What depresses me the most is that I can't fulfill my responsibility as a father. That's what bothers me the most. It really hurts. But I don't regret what I've done outside. It was necessary. I don't regret it because I had to show who I was and what my place was.
Carlos will spend at least another 20 years behind bars without seeing his children grow up. As night falls, things slowly become quiet again in Picaleña prison. Until the next morning, when a new day begins in one of Colombia's toughest prisons.